Smashbox has come out with a new palette. It is the Smashbox Double Exposure Palette. It is currently available at Sephora, and it says VIB Rouge only right now, which is, I got it because I'm VIB Rouge and with the sale going on, but it should be coming out to everybody soon, probably on Smashbox website and Ulta and all those sites as well, but that's how I got my hands on it. So it's kind of triggering their other exposure palette and layout and stuff like that, like as far as the actual palette and stuff goes. But this one here, it says on the front there's 12 shadows that uniquely transform into 28, and on the back it says that they you just add water and they're supposed to change into a different color. It says here on the back of the box, do a double take. 14 shadows transform into 28. Just activate with water to turn up vibrancy, get a deeper shade, transform it to metallic, or amp up sparkle. I have a little bit of a beef with the statement because almost any shadow that you use wet, it will do that to. It will intensify it, it will amp it up, it'll make it more vibrant, all of that stuff. Almost any shadow you use, that's generally the case. So I don't know how I feel about that exactly. Now I can tell you on my eyes, I did use them dry, but the base that I use is very, very tacky. So I thought that there would be some type of transformation, as they say, but there wasn't. So this is what the palette looks like on the outside. It has got the same type of packaging as the first, I believe it's the full exposure palette, which I also have, and I'll compare them side by side for you guys for reference. But there are, again, 14 shades, and they are, it says 0.59 ounces for all of the shadows total, which averages out to be just over 0.04 ounces per eyeshadow. And then there is a mascara that comes in there. It is the Smashbox Full Exposure Mascara. It is just a small sized one. It's a decent mascara, not my favorite, but it is included, which is nice. And then it also comes with a double-ended brush inside of the palette here, inlaid right here, that says double exposure brush. It's got a little angled on one side and then a flat shader on the other, and the brush is definitely usable, but it's far too stiff and slightly scratchy for what I like to use, so I didn't use it. And then there is a mirror on the lid there, but it doesn't hold itself open. And then on the back you do have the shades listed on there. I did film the eyeshadow and stuff like that too upon first application, so you guys can see how they went on for me. So if you're interested in that, it'll be towards the end of the video. But this is what the eyeshadows look like right here. And I'm going to read off on the back here what the colors there are. It's silver, mauve, peony, blanc, quartz, flushed, veiled, and then you've got midnight, temper, haze, noir, copper, fig, and over here is espresso. Now the only mattes in here are these two right there. Those are matte, and then the black. And this one here is like a satin. It's not a full matte, but everything else has got some type of a sheen or a sparkle shimmer factor to it as far as the shades are concerned. And then for quick comparison, this is what the two palettes look like together. The top one is the full exposure palette and the bottom one is the double exposure. You'll notice that this one here doesn't really have that top layer matte, bottom layer sparkle. It is a sporadic layout of finishes in the double exposure palette, where this one has got the sparkle and then matte right there. So, and then you can see on this one the cool tones, or the warm tones, are on from this side over, and then the cooler tones are on this side over. Now let's swatch these dry for you, and then I'll go and swatch them all wet and show them to you what they look like wet. So that is dry. Out of all the shades, this white one right here, Blanc is it called, that's the chunkiest out of all of them. The rest of them are all pretty smooth except for that guy. And then we'll do these ones. and then these last two here. So those are the swatches dry. Now here are the shadows wet. Now the biggest thing that I thought was going to happen with them wet, I thought they were going to like literally transform or change into a different shade or something, but I mean they just intensify what the shade already is. And like personally I thought that the shadows should have come off like this to begin with. That's what I thought. Like when I put them on my eye dry, they were very subdued, and you know, you could take shadows from another brand and get that high intensity without using them wet. So that was my biggest thing. I put these in a funny spot here, but hopefully you guys can see. They are definitely more intense when they're used wet, but the colors are still the same. So there they are wet. Right there. Still pretty though. Still very, very pretty colors. So I think the whole wet dry aspect of this palette is a little bit, it fools you a little bit, because shadows used wet always will have more intensity to them. And initially I thought that these shadows should have come off how they look wet. They should have come off like that dry, because my masterclass palettes, they come off like that dry. The formula isn't the same as the masterclass palettes. Now it isn't a bad formula, so I don't want you to, you know, take it that way. It performed quite nicely. It's just dry. They're very subdued, and I really had to pack on like this deeper shade here that I used on the outer portion of my eye. I really had to pack it on to get the intensity out of it, whereas a different shadow or a shadow of the same color like in the masterclass palette would have come off intensely no matter what. So I don't know how I feel but hopefully this is making sense, but I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that whole wet dry aspect of it, because again, shadows do that. Any shadows usually come off more intense like that. So, and I feel like these should have came off intense like that dry. Now looking at it like somebody who's a little bit more afraid of color, you might quite like this, because you'll have that versatility to be able to use some colorful shades where they'll be a little bit more subdued when you go to use them dry, but if you want to, you can intensify them wet. So in that aspect you may or may not like it. So if you're looking for super intense pigmentation on dry eyeshadows, these come off not as intense dry, which I mean there's so many shadows on the market that do come off intense dry, and I feel like having to wet a shadow for me personally is just kind of an extra step and a little bit of a pain. So I usually like to use my shadows dry, but the shadows also blended very nice. I didn't have any patchiness through the look. It was pretty easy to blend them, and I had very, very minimal fallout. So there's that. Hopefully that all made sense and stuff like that. So in any event, if you are interested in seeing these eyeshadows perform and how I got the look on my face, you can hang tight and we'll get into it right now. I already primed my lids from the lash line all the way to up underneath the brow with the RMS Uncover Up in 00, which this may or may not have an effect on the wet aspect that this palette is supposed to have. It's supposed to change if you use them wet, because this is slightly tacky and has moisture to it. So we shall see, I suppose. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do here. I'm just gonna wing it, so see how it goes. I guess that's what I normally do anyway, but I'm gonna go into this shade right here. It is like a coppery type of color, I guess, a peach copper with some shimmer on a Goss number 18 brush. I'm just gonna pick that up, tap off the excess, and I'm going to pack this all over my lid. Or I'm gonna pack this in the middle of my lid. It's going on pretty much how it looks in the pan there so far. I'm going to dust that same brush off, and I'm going to pick up I'm going to pick up a bit of this shade right here, right next to it, which is just a lighter orangey type of color, I guess. I'm so terrible at describing colors, I know. I'm going to put that in front of that first shade we put down and kind of blend it into that. So far I'm not seeing any changing in the colors. Now on a Hakuhodo J5523 brush, I'm going to pick up this shade right here. It is like a matte brownish burgundy. I'm just going to pick some of that up on the tip of this brush here, and I'm going to pack that on the outer portion of the lid and up into the crease here. Pick up a little bit more. I thought that was going to go on a little bit deeper than it is, but let's pack a little more on there. Now on a Goss number 6 brush, I'm going to dip these two shades right here back and forth to get a mixture, like in between shade for them, and I'm going to blend out the first part and that deeper color we put down there. See how she goes here. Oh, I kind of wish for a lighter matte transition shade, but there really isn't one. So this is what I'm going to do. See what happens here. That'll work. Yeah, that'll work. Blend this out. And then I'm going to go back in with the brush that we put down that deeper shade and run that through the crease and bring it up just a bit. I kind of expected more intensity out of that shade, and I'm going to pick up some more of that dark color here and put it in the crease again. And then our Goss number 6 here. I'm not going to pick up any more product on there, but go like that. Yeah. Now on a Hakuhodo J5522 brush, I'm going to pick up this shade over here, which is kind of it's like a satin yellow, or pale yellow kind of color. Yellow? Yellowish gold. And I'm going to just put this underneath the brow. I really thought these were going to be a lot more intense than they're coming off, to be honest. Not that they're not pretty, but I have an ever so slight amount of fallout. Very little, though. Brush that off. So there's the shadow done. Hopefully you're not getting too much glare off of my lights there. It's pretty. It turned out really pretty, but a lot less intense than I thought it was going to be, especially over that really tacky primer that I put down. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my eye makeup, and I'll be right back. I thought I'd use the palette for some liner and use it wet, see how it does that way. But I'm going to take this Real Techniques eyeliner brush that is in Nick Chapman's new set. I just seen it on Ulta earlier this morning, so if you are interested in the set. But I'm going to spray the brush with MAC Fix Plus here for our moisture. And then I'm going to dip it into the corner of the black here, just in case this ruins the shadow. It shouldn't, since they're supposed to be used wet, but I don't know. And then let's line the top lash line here. Well, that's pretty black. Okay, I'm just going to go like, that was a lot more. Now I wish I would have used the burgundy. Okay, I'm going to go into the burgundy after this, or the shade we put in the crease. I'm going to go into the corner of this shade right here, and I'm going to go over the black with that, because that's a little bit more intense than I wanted, because I'm going to put on my lashes. That's better. Now I'm gonna go finish up my eye makeup and be right back. I feel like I need a little bit of color going on here, so I'm gonna take the Marc Jacobs Highliner Gel Crayon in the shade Introvert, and I'm gonna wipe my waterline off with a Q-tip here. And I'm going to put this on the waterline, if I can get the cover off. There we go. And it's just a green color. We need some color. Yes. Yes. I feel like that green just gave the eyes some life. For lips, I chose the Laura Mercier Plumberry Lip Liner. Kind of triggering that whole famous Kylie Jenner lip thing, I guess. I'm just going to go ahead and line them and bring it in just a bit here. And for lipstick, I have the NARS Audacious lipstick in the shade Anita. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this all over my lips here. That Plumberry is like the perfect lip liner for this shade. So there is the overall finished look using the Smashbox Double Exposure Palette. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to wear sunscreen, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!